All right. Well, hello, Internet world. And welcome to the first of a few installments of some talks about the origins of Christianity and what we actually know about it and don't know about it. This is something that I've been thinking about for a long, long time. And Sam and Demetria, the knuckleheads, no, we're not starting over, are going to help with color commentary, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But before I get into more depth about what we're doing, I would like to share a little bit about my own experience, because when I was and why I'm doing this, okay? So I was a young man. I was raised in a pretty hardcore Christian environment, right? So there was a lot of Christianity, and we were told what to think. We're also told how to think and to form our own opinions, which was good. But it was a really, really big part of our family's culture. So as I got older, I found a lot of value in Christianity, but I thought, I wonder if I really actually think this. I wonder if do I buy this? I mean, there's a lot of reasons not to buy it, right? You got some guy 2,000 years ago who rose from the dead, and people don't really do that, generally speaking. And then they went to eat his body and drink his blood. And there's a lot of people doing a lot of things in the name of Christianity, which seem a little bit off, as it were. So, you start to wonder, what is this Christian thing? Am I really buying this or not? So I thought I would figure it out. And so I started to read a lot of things. I majored in philosophy in college, started to talk to a lot of people, and slowly but surely started to form my own opinions. I got my little yellow notepad to make notes here. Before I get too much into this, though, I wanted to introduce everybody and say how dramatically unqualified we are to talk about this subject. So I am Mike Sullivan. I am an attorney by trade. I was, am I qualified to talk about this? So I was raised in a really philosophical household, a lot of talk about theology and philosophy my whole life. I went to college and I majored in philosophy and thought about this stuff a lot. But I really don't have any formal academic training in this area. I went to law school and I'm a lawyer now. So I can talk pretty good and I can analyze pretty good, I guess. As an adult, I've read a lot and thought a lot about theology and philosophy, talked to a lot of people, and I think I've thought relatively deeply on it, done a lot of research. So that's, as good as it's going to get for you folks out there at home. I'm going to, this is as qualified as I get. So over to my left, we have the lovely and talented Demetria Sullivan, my only daughter. And she is, you're a junior now at Loyola, right? Mm-hmm. What are you studying?
Psychology.
Psychology, the soft underbelly of thought.
Yes.
That's right. And what do you want to do when you're done with your degree?
Something in the field of psychology.
I thought you were going to get a PhD and be a neuropsychologist.
We're going to see.
You're here for what, color commentary?
Yeah, I'm basically going to make this fun. So.
Yeah, well, you're off to a slow start. Okay. And then we have her best friend since she's a little tiny girl, who I've known since she's a little tiny girl, Sam Kelty.
Hello.
Scotswoman.
I am. I go to UCLA. I'm a junior. I'm studying English. And I would like to pursue law as well. So that's
you want
the
to come
goal.
and be a lawyer, my law firm?
Yes. Let's do this
You
thing.
don't expect me to pay you, though, right?
I do moderately.
Yeah, really? I don't understand that. So anyway, okay, so that's us. And then we have Bob. You can't see Bob. You never will see Bob, which is a shame because Bob is a very handsome man.
Shameful.
What I really want to do is get into what we actually know about, historically speaking, about Christianity. Like, what do we actually know? What is the evidence? And what do we not actually know? I think that'd be really interesting. And obviously, of course, we don't know anything with certainty since this is a historical matter. But I think maybe taking a step back from Christianity and looking at it as objectively as possible might inform some people's thought process about it. And it's kind of like when I was a kid, I would think, well, I would like to know if being a Christian is valid or not, or at least consistent with reason and evidence, or if reason and evidence compels it or not. I would like to know that because I would feel more self-assured of my Christianity. But then I thought, why am I even really doing this? Because am I trying to build up a defense of what I already know? Am I trying to arm myself to defend the faith, right? Am I doing that? Because I thought, well, if I'm doing that, then I've already reached the conclusion before I asked the question, which seems totally dishonest, right?
Yeah.
Totally dishonest. So you can't do, aren't you supposed to be honest if you're Christian?
True.
I mean,
supposedly.
in theory,
Yeah.
In
right?
theory, yes.
Not that it's practiced by all Christians at all times, but you should at least try to be honest. So I thought about that. I thought, well, I'm gonna do that. But then I thought, man, it's really hard to. it seems like it's really hard to be honest about something like this because you're so invested in it. And it's a belief system that you have, and it's like super important to you, and more important than you even realize consciously. I thought about how it was in World War II, right? So then you have millions of people in Germany that decide to be Nazis and go to war. You know, how did they come to the conclusion that they were Nazis? They couldn't have like each individually studied it and objectively and then decided they were Nazis. And on the other hand, you have the American soldiers, right? And they're off fighting the war, they're dying, and they're fighting by the millions. But why are they doing it? I mean, what made them have their worldview? And the answer is it just seems like in almost every case for all of humanity, we're creatures of our culture. Like we're going to believe what our culture tells us to believe. For the most part, like fundamentally at our core. So what does that say about us? That's not so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so good.
And so how can I imagine being any different? How can I be any different than that? I mean, how is it possible? How rare is it that somebody actually steps outside their culture and says something that the whole culture doesn't agree with?
Yeah.
Very rare. And we tend to, people are heroes like that do that. Because in their own time, everybody hates them. And we look back and say, we think we would have been like them, right?
Yeah.
But we wouldn't have been. We would have been like everybody else. If we were in Nazi Germany and we got raised and we're 18 years old, 99% chance we're Nazis. Me, you, and maybe not Bob. But so I thought before I even start looking at this, how am I going to know that it's getting me anywhere? Or is it just a way for me to get more sophisticated about my own bias? Can it be done? Should it be done? I don't even know. I don't know. Do you think it could? You're the psychologist. Could it be done? Only if you're a total hero?
If you're aware of your bias, perhaps.
You gotta be aware of your bias.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's so
that's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. My hero is Atticus Finch in the To Kill a Mockingbird. You guys read that?
Yeah.
You read To Kill a Mockingbird, right, Bob? Bob read it. Everyone's read that, right?
Yeah.
So he's got that great hero status because the poor black guy is getting wrongly convicted, and everybody knows he's innocent, and the jury knows he's innocent. And Atticus is like going, guys, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to do this? You know? And they know he's right. I remember the line of the book, for God's sake, gentlemen, do the right thing. He says, but they can't do it. They can't do it. They're just too ingrained. It would upset their entire universe, right?
Yeah.
So I started thinking about like exploring your bias and what constitutes belief systems and how deeply ingrained they are. And so, because you could have it for Christianity, and you can have it against Christianity, right? You could come into the room and say, I don't buy this stuff. Like you guys just did before we'd started, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You just like make an announcement before you even think about it, like explore it, right? You could do that. You can do it with Christianity too. It happens all the time. God wrote it. I read it. That's it. See it all the time. You think, what an ignorant schmuck. But the truth is we all do it, right? We all do it. It just depends on what our belief system is or where our orientation is. But I want to set the table in part by looking at belief systems in general and how they work. And that way we can kind of flush out, okay, what if we had bias as we go through the process, what would it look like so we can catch ourselves, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. A couple other minor points before we get into it. I realized that Christianity is a good thing to understand really well, regardless of who you are, because Christ, like the Jesus figure in history, is arguably the most influential figure that has ever existed in humanity. Absent perhaps the Buddha. Like Jesus of Nazareth, that old guy 2,000 years ago in that little village, is the most influential person that's ever existed. Even today, all of our virtues, our values, the way we think, our whole culture, and this is true of all the Western world, even though it's like greatly secular, the Christian values are there. The idea of the individual having value, the idea of treating others as you'd like to be treated, all the fundamental things that Jesus was like preaching are in our guts. They're in our DNA, at least in the Western world. And I think it's important to recognize that, like, even within like an exploration of like Christianity, an attempt to like step back and look at it objectively, you got to recognize it's in our DNA. It's how we think. We're going to be biased towards some of the things, and we're going to be reactive to some of the other things, and it's just going to be in there. And it's really going to be hard to have the self-awareness. But I mean, self-awareness is always the hardest thing anyway, psychologically speaking. Other studies?
There are many.
Okay. I'm not doing this to convert anybody or to preach. This is not what this series of talks are supposed to be about. This is not, at the end of the day, I really honestly don't care if anyone watching this decides they want to be a Christian or don't want to be a Christian, or maybe they're just better informed. The only intent here is to expose, like explain, like let's lay out what we've got. Because when I started asking myself in my 20s, are you really a Christian or are you just making that up in your head? I started to feel like guilty.
Yeah.
You know? And scared.
Yeah.
I was like scared. I was like, well, okay, let's say you try to have an objective look at Christianity. Well, in order to be honest about it, you'd have to be ready for any conclusion, right? You'd have to be ready to say, I am a Christian. I am not a Christian. I don't know if I'm a Christian or not. But you'd have to be ready to do that. Otherwise, you're not really looking at it objectively. Mm-hmm. So what if I wasn't a Christian? Well, I can tell myself that would be okay, but in the back of my mind, I know that's not going to be okay, right? Because my dad's going to be mad at me, really. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Your parents aren't going to like it. And that drives you as an adult, right? You don't realize it, but it drives you.
Yeah.
I think it's also, though, because, like, when you're a Christian, you're told, like, oh, you get to go to heaven because you're Christian.
Right. So maybe if I'm not a Christian, I don't get to go to heaven.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want my whole life. What does my life even mean then? Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what does life even mean?
It's like Emery. She's like, I don't believe in God, but I can't say that because then what if I don't go to heaven?
Yeah. She's sort of a Pascalian wager kind of a girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's scary because then, like, what does life have no meaning? Because like what happens is your belief system gives your life meaning. So without your belief system, you don't have any meaning. Or what would happen if this is even scarier. What would happen if I was a Christian? What would that mean? Like, would I have to actually do all that stuff? Like care for the poor and give all my money to the poor? Or would I have to preach all the time? What would it even actually mean? That would be even more scary.
Yeah.
It's easier to be in that kind of squishy place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's important to realize that, you can get, when you start to get into it, you tell yourself you're going to be objective, there's an emotional reality that goes with that. And I wanted to explore more about that, like what it means to challenge or question a belief system. And part of me thinks I shouldn't even do it because it's like some things shouldn't be questioned. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
You ever notice that? No matter what your belief system is, if you believe in it strongly enough, you get annoyed when people question it.
Yeah.
So you have, like, anytime you have these belief systems, you have limits in your tolerance as to how much you can take and what you're willing to listen to and what you're not willing to listen to. So how do we get to the point where we're not scared and we're not ashamed and we're not fearful and we're not feel like we're doing something we shouldn't do? I think I want to explore that in terms of bias. So let's talk about belief systems a little. I asked you guys when we were getting ready for this, like, what your belief systems were. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you believe in? Like, what's important to you? It could be nothing. You could be like a non-entity. It can be nothing, though. It's always something.
You mean like my religious beliefs?
Well, just
in general?
Well, just in general. It doesn't have to be religious, right? Belief systems are often non-religious.
Yeah. Well, I think since we're in college right now, our friends are really important to us.
Yeah.
So believe in your friends.
Yeah. I believe in our friendship, as we talked about.
Yeah, like you guys are friends. So.
Yeah.
So you believe in Sam, right?
Yeah.
So you think by that means you believe in a person. Mm-hmm. But so that means you believe Sam wouldn't betray you, for example.
Yeah. I mean, not heavily.
She could, though. She could heavily betray you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible.
It's possible.
But you don't believe that. You don't believe she would.
No.
Like in your mind, you think that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it could happen. So why do you think that?
Because I trust her.
So you're kind of choosing to believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were talking about you and your boyfriend are atheists, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of like a big deal for you.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't know how to relate if it was otherwise, kind of, in a way. And
so you guys sit around and you talk about your...
Yeah, that's a topic that I enjoy discussing, I guess, different views on it. That's why I take classes at school, regarding religion.
So that's part of your relationship.
Yeah.
That you share a worldview. Mm-hmm. Are there values that come from atheism? Like ethical values or
I don't really know
behavioral norms?
I guess. I don't know what those are, but
Well, you're being
guess.
honest.
Well,
That's
I feel
true.
like that's kind of the point.
true.
There's no, like, guidelines for you to follow. So if you're being a good person, it's because you just want to be, you know?
Okay, but you just said, like, first of all, when you're an atheist, you consider yourself to be honest. Like, because you're not being trapped by religion.
Yeah.
Or should an atheist be dishonest, or is that part of it?
I mean, in general, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Or you said being a
dishonest.
good person because there's nothing stopping you from being a good person, right? So then it's important to be a good person.
No,
Yeah.
I guess.
Is it?
It is, but I guess like when you're atheist, you're not also thinking in the back of your head like, oh, I'm a good person. Oh, and this will be like a point in heaven.
Yeah.
Like there it
Cha-ching!
is. Like you're just kind of like, I'm going to do this nice thing because I'm doing a nice thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you have a value system that comes from a belief.
Mm-hmm.
You have the belief that there is no God. Mm-hmm. So there's no like payoff. There's no like conspiracy. There's no selfishness involved in being good. Mm-hmm. Right. So then your idea is you have an ideal that you share with your boyfriend that our goodness is just goodness. It's not tainted by some sort of selfish desire to get an eternal reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about belief systems as sometimes you believe in God, or sometimes you believe in people, right? Mm-hmm. And then sometimes you believe in yourself, right? Self-help books say believe in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so sometimes you believe in people or entities. Sometimes you believe in values, like be good. Even though, why should you be good? I don't understand that. I mean, what's so great about being good? I mean, why?
I don't know.
I feel like it just, like, when you do something bad, like, no matter what religion, if you have any religious beliefs or not, like, you get, like, that gut feeling that's like, I shouldn't do that.
So you shouldn't do bad things because it makes you feel bad.
Yeah. And then when you do good things, I feel like, oh.
But what about a sociopath? What if it made him feel good to do bad things? Then
Well, it
by that
does.
philosophy, shouldn't they do it?
Yeah.
They should do it.
Yeah.
So you can't get angry at the sociopath if they murder Sam because they're only doing what makes them feel good.
I mean, you can
like
get
the
angry,
general
but
good.
yeah.
Like murdering's not good.
No.
Not good.
No.
So it's more than just subjective feeling. There's something objectively wrong with murder.
Yeah.
But where does that come from? I mean, how do you know that? Sometimes you believe in propositions. Like you may say all people are good. All people are worthy of life. That's a proposition. It's got like a value-laden proposition, right? Mm-hmm. So you can have like believe in things, you can believe in people, you can believe in propositions, you can believe in values. But it's different than knowing something, right?
Yeah.
Because you can know like what do we know? We know the cats are outside and they're not allowed in that because
Sadly.
they might chew on the wires.
Thanks, Bob.
We know Bob's got his usual funny T-shirt on.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. We know your chairs are blue, mine are red. Yeah. But beliefs, I wanted to go through like how the characteristics of belief and how they can be, they're different than knowing something. Because in a belief, with a belief, you don't know it all the way.
Yeah.
Right? You know it, but you're kind of also choosing it.
Yeah.
So if you choose to believe in Sam, you're kind of taking a risk.
But I think it's easier for me to be like, oh, I believe in Demi because it's like tangible and I can like see like progress. I'm like, oh, she'll like do all these things in school and like get this job, blah blah blah. Like I believe in that because I can see it. But like, it's harder to believe in other things that you can't like fully like see. I guess like there's no tangibleness to like God, for example. Like it's just kind of like a being that you can't like nail down, really.
Pretty slippery concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like trust this book that was written a million years ago.
But you guys are already drawing conclusions before we get to the
I know, that's the
You're
problem.
like trying to argue with me that God doesn't exist. And I'm like, dude, I'm not here to argue.
Well, I'm saying like the belief thing, what you're saying, like there's different.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's different types that are easier to like.
Well, you said you usually have some basis for a belief, like an experiential basis. So you've seen Demetria, but didn't you like do something bad to Sam when you were young or something?
I mean, we got into fights.
We got into
yeah.
little tiffs here and there.
But to go back to your original point, you said like in a belief you have an experience base for a belief, right? So you don't just make it up out of nothing. You don't just like see someone on the street and say, I believe in them. They're a great person.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet money on them in the game on Saturday. You don't do that, right?
No.
You have a reason to believe them.
Yeah.
Well, First, because you have a basis, but then, like, it's funny because you can get data either way. You can get data which makes you believe in someone less, or can make you believe in something more. So, and it's not just friendship or believing in people. Like say the theory of evolution. It first comes out, everyone's like, "What? Everyone knows the world is flat. Come on, take a look around. It's flat, dumbass." That's actually not evolution. That's like Columbus, right?
Yeah.
That was a little different.
Okay.
But I see
But you see my point. So, like, then Columbus, like, wait, the world does look flat.
Yeah.
So everyone in the world thought it was flat until like 500 years ago or something. And then someone tries to sail around the world, and they do, and they come around the Magellan sails around the world, and you're like, oh. But you can't believe him. That's just like one guy in his boat. That's what he says, but he's getting a lot of money for saying that and getting a lot of fame, so he has no credibility, so we don't believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then another guy does it, and you're like, oh. Maybe the world is round. How is that even possible? It looks flat.
Yeah.
I don't get it. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
But I guess it's round. And then somebody like doesn't come back from a trip and say, see, they didn't come back. So see what I mean? So like belief can go up or down depending on evidence. But it's sort of overlaid by sort of this choice, this hopeful choice, right? Like, I want to believe in Sam because I love Sam, right? You love Sam, not me. Not the person. No, I do love you, Sam.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but like, you guys are friends, right? So it's kind of like you have evidence, but you never have totally conclusive evidence. But there's this injection of like, you're getting something out of it. You're like, you're taking this leap of faith in the person.
Yeah.
So belief has like hope. Hope and love is in belief. Every time you believe in something, there's kind of like a hope.
Yeah.
Right? And there's kind of like, why do we do that? We need it. We need like hope and love. And that becomes part of our worldview. And then we proceed based on that. Even though it's like evidentiary, it's questionable.
Yeah.
So this is what's really interesting about belief, I think, is that
Buckle
you sort
up,
of...
ladies.
No, you sort of create reality with it.
Yeah.
So knowing something is like you observe reality and then you know it. Like empirically. Belief is where you actually make reality by choosing it. So that's really a trip, huh? Because you say, I believe in myself. I'm not the kind of person who would betray my friend. And then maybe something happens, you're a little bit tempted, and then you don't do it. And then that reinforces inside you. That's who you are. And you're used to that behavior. So it's reinforcing that behavior, and reinforcing that mindset and that attitude towards yourself. And so you become that person. You like make yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
It is.
It is.
It's kind of awesome.
It's really awesome.
Yeah. So it's like belief in a way is like more powerful than knowledge. Knowledge is just sort of the context.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we need belief systems, right? I also have here that the belief system requires allies. You do tend to seek out people that think like you. Don't you? Like your boyfriend?
Yeah.
What would happen if your boyfriend came back and said, you know what? I went to church and I decided that I've encountered God and I believe in God. Like, what would happen to your relationship?
It's going to be out that door.
Okay, I would
No,
not.
okay.
I mean, there are other things I obviously like about him that would, like, not matter. That would, like, make that not matter.
So much.
But I would definitely be like, dude, what? But I would try my hardest to, like, be okay with it.
Well, what are you going to do, though? What are you going to do? I mean, like, if you just have fundamentally different views of life with someone you're in a relationship with, I mean...
I don't know because I'm not in that position, so it's hard to imagine. But I'd like to believe that it wouldn't be a big issue.
Well, that's just your belief.
Yeah, a belief. Yes.
It's harder to have that belief though. You've lost some of your evidence. You're like a fish may love a bird, but where will they build their house?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a line from Fiddler on the Roof. Which, by the way, is playing at Pantages. We got to go see it. Have you guys ever seen it?
I've never
It's
seen
freaking great. Another thing about belief is that you kind of look for ways to reinforce it if you already got it. You know, like remember in Braveheart, that movie Braveheart, and they're all leaving, and he rides up and he goes, "What will you do without freedom?" Right? I am William Wallace, and they're all like, "Yay, William Wallace! And we need freedom, and we're going to kill the British." Yes. So it's like he's injecting belief, and they already kind of have the belief, but now they're rallied, and you tend to like. With belief type, this makes us rally in groups. And then what do? We sit around and reinforce each other.
Yeah.
In fact, we don't really look for people that disagree with us.
No.
We don't.
That's
we
not
don't do
safe.
Yeah, it's not safe.
Yeah.
Because what happens if they're right?
Yeah.
And we certainly don't listen to them if they do disagree with us. And so we make sure we never learn anything.
Yep. Basically.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable. It's like, why would we want to sit there and learn something? It's like, well, where do we stand then? I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
so we always want to find people that agree with us, and we just have wine and we talk about how much we hate the people that disagree with us.
Yeah.
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 That's too real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also thought, and see if you agree with this or not, I don't know. But it seems to me that like belief systems always involve something, they have like metaphysical ideas. Like they involve things that are sacred and profane. I wrote some notes here I can't read.
Told you you're not legible.
I know, you wrote here on my notes, you wrote dad is an imbecile, which you spelled wrong.
We don't need to, like,
And then you
discuss my misspelled words.
well, I mean, if you're going to call someone an imbecile, you should spell it right.
He has a point.
And then you said you're a bald man, which I think is wholly irrelevant.
I mean, it's the truth. It's not just a belief. That is a fundamental truth.
It is
right
truth,
there.
but it's not really relevant, though, to the situation at hand.
It's always pretty relevant.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
have to, like, wear some sunglasses when you look at your head.
Yeah, but beliefs, they always involve some sort of, like, what did you say?
The
Just wear some
glare on your
sunglasses.
head is, like, bouncing into my eyeball in a harsh way.
It's terrible.
You
when
should be
you're-
more considerate. Maybe wear a hat.
It's terrible when you're jealous of someone's good looks and sex appeal. It's just terrible,
Yeah.
especially when so young. But anyway, so like, okay, so if you have, there's things that are like sort of sacred to you when you believe. It's like you have like certain ideas that are core, and then when someone attacks them, you sort of react, especially if you feel kind of insecure about them, right? Mm-hmm. And then religions, you have like, oh, Notre Dame burned down, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
why is that bad? I mean, why? Why do we care that Notre Dame burned down?
It's historical.
Yeah,
It's pretty.
it's pretty. Well, a lot of things are pretty burned down. We don't really.
True.
Yeah.
I guess because it has that religion, like the religious.
It's because it's
behind
sacred.
it,
It's
yeah.
sacred, right?
Yeah.
It's like a thing that carries with it meaning. Even people that are just part of the culture and not the religion.
I saw this like picture of like the flames of Notre Dame, and someone was like, "Look, it's the figure of Jesus," and I was like, "It's just not."
See, but that's really interesting,
But,
right?
yeah, they,
because
like,
what are
make
they?
themselves
Why are they doing that?
Because
Yeah.
then it's like Jesus is there with it
Mm-hmm.
still, so it feels like more safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't really see a picture. Maybe
There
it
was
looks like
no-
Jesus. It's
there
like
was
Mary on
no-
your cupcake, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what are you? Like, you're an idiot,
Yeah.
right? You see, they seem like they're just idiots, but there's a psychological need being met there, right? So, like, maybe, like, when the Notre Dame burns down, it's like, you kind of feel like, well, that was, like, something that shouldn't burn down. It was, like, a permanent thing,
Yeah.
right? And if it burns down, well, maybe that it wasn't so sacred. Yeah, so I think any belief system has within it things, objects, ideas that are sacred and things that are profane. So it's not like we're going to sit down and talk about it. It's not like we're going to work out our issues. I'm going to shoot you in the face, right? Because you are profane.
Yeah.
And it's like you become subhuman when you're profane. So, group psychology. The upshot of all is, I mean, do you think belief systems are good in general?
I think they're necessary, but they can also be bad.
Oh, so they're kind of good, but you don't want to pervert them?
Yeah. Some are better than others.
Well, I was thinking that without belief systems, we don't function very well, right?
Yeah.
Like anytime there's a society or a family or a person, there's belief system. It's just endemic to our nature. It's like certain things we believe. We hold these truths. These are what we believe. This is how we act accordingly because we believe these things. Right, Bob? Bob agrees. But, police can get out of hand, right? They get out of hand. Like, what happened in Nazi Germany?
Well, they killed a lot of people.
They killed a lot of people, right? Well, they had a belief system. I mean, say what you want about the tenets of National Socialism. At least it was an ethos, right? What did they believe? They thought that. What do they think? They thought that.
Well, I mean, they thought that Jewish people were equals.
Yeah, but that's kind of a consequence of a deeper belief, right? It's like the Aryans were better
like
people.
The superior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the Nazis only didn't necessarily believe that, but it's more like an authority thing.
So most people are kind of followers.
Yeah.
So like the guy on top with all the guns says, we believe this. And he can just say anything he wants.
If you fear, then you'll follow it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. So belief is bad if it disregards experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just reinforces itself, irrespective of the truth. Mm-hmm. And belief does it a lot. Mm-hmm. Just blows off what's right in front of its face. And to the extent it does that, it's pretty bad. It can also come from a bad place or experience. Like, I saw a bumper sticker the other day on a girl's car that said, boys lie.
Mm. An overgeneralized truth.
Yes.
An overgeneralized truth, yeah. So it's true that boys lie.
Yeah.
It's not true that all boys lie all the time.
Well, I think everyone lies.
Yeah, everyone lies.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So why'd you say just boys?
Yeah.
She had a hard time.
Yeah, she had a hard time.
Something did something.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like you're talking to somebody and like something happened to her, something happened to him.
You're like,
Yeah.
ooh.
You know, when people got blinders on,
Yeah.
because they just can't handle something. It happens a lot. Mm-hmm. Or when you have, like it comes from an emotional need, which isn't healthy. Mm-hmm. But I love him. But he beats you up. But I love him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see it a lot. You got some kind of emotional need, and it just what, is your boyfriend beating you up or something? Why are you
No,
flinching?
just that you're choosing horrible
Again,
examples.
touchy subject.
Well,
We're getting touchy here.
Because if you have some kind of emotional need that's driving you, you'll be blind to the truth.
That's true.
Yeah. And so you believe in something which you know isn't true. And this is the thing. It's like belief that's corrupted causes cognitive dissonance. Mm-hmm. What is cognitive dissonance?
It's when your beliefs and your attitudes don't add up. Or your actions don't add up.
Right. Your beliefs and your actions don't add up. I like to define it as holding two contradictory things in your mind simultaneously. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. I love him, but he's beating me up. Mm-hmm. So obviously he doesn't love you.
Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance. It causes distress, right? It causes like this anxiety and this guilt and all these bad feelings.
Yeah.
Because you know inside your own mind that it's not consistent. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's really bad. That can really mess you up. It can also cause you to do really weird, stupid things. Mm-hmm. You know, cut off your husband's penis and throw it out the car window.
That's one.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Interesting documentary, though. Highly recommend.
Was it a good documentary?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I saw the billboards. And then ultimately, belief can get to the point where you're accepting things that are just factually not true. It's right in front of your face and you're just denying it. Mm-hmm. Right? And you'll do that. And then belief can also lead you to the point where you're just like hating anyone who doesn't believe you because you get more and more reactive the more and more stupid your belief obviously is.
Yeah.
Right? And then you start hating everybody and you start hurting other people.
Yeah.
And it leads to uncaring attitudes, suffering, and ultimately totalitarianism. So you see that in Maoist China, you see it in Stalin's Russia, you see it in Hitler's Germany. Where it's just, we're going to hold on to this belief. It doesn't matter how freaking ridiculous it is. Mm-hmm. And really, it's about power at the end of the day. So it can get pretty ugly. So we don't want to do that with Christianity, do we?
No.
No, we don't. So we're going to try. We're going to actually try to look at Christianity
Two atheists and a Christian.
objectively.
Walk into a bar.
Objectively. We will look at it objectively.
Yes.
But can we do it? Can we do it?
We will try.
Can we do it?
Yeah.
I mean, can I really not be a Christian? Is it possible? Is it really possible you could be a Christian? Or are we?
Well, I mean,
honestly,
switched.
are we? Oh, you switched.
Yeah.
So you could switch back. You're young enough. It's harder when you're older.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I'll agree to keep an open mind, if you will.
Okay.
I'll be open-minded.
All right.
So don't go to church for the next following weeks.
Well, I mean, if you're going to look at something objectively, you have to actually set aside belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether it be for or against something, you have to set it aside. Now, maybe psychologically impossible, but at least if you know all the traps and pitfalls, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe we could try. So what we're going to do is we're going to step back and say, okay, all this belief is over here. All the belief against it, over here. And the next time we'll really start looking at the evidence. You know, the evidence. what do we know? What are the documents? What are the testimonies? What's the proof, man? What's the physical proof? And what proof doesn't exist, and what levels of certainty we have and don't have. And I think I've gone on long enough for session number 1. What do you think?
If you're still here,
First number 2?
you're a real one.
All right, let's cut it off, Bob. Thanks for tuning in, folks.